Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 228. I am Brendan. All right, we're going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Muniz versus Allen. This was supposed to be Span versus Krylov, but we know Krylov got hurt. This is the prelims. If you're looking for the main event and the main card, that's in the last video. If you are looking for a specific fight, timestamps are down below to take you to those. We're going to do the breakdowns of every single fight on the prelim card here, starting with Erick Gonzalez versus Trevor Peek. Real quick, before we start that one, if you like this stuff, you like all those things that I said, you like seeing and hearing about MMA fights, wanting to know more about them and how they're broken down, subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. Let's get started. Okay, so Trevor Peek making his UFC debut. UFC debut. He does have that accent. He is from Tennessee. So making his UFC debut against Erick Gonzalez. He doesn't sound like that. I just did that. I'm awful. Anyway, Peek was throwing hard as possible every single time. He came out with a ton of energy. This guy's a real raw talent, meaning he's got a lot of athleticism, a lot of wherewithal, body mechanics. He's got a lot of things working for him, and he also has a good chin on the Contender Series. You saw that. So he has a lot of raw talent and raw tools. They just need to be honed and sharpened. So this fight ends up with him knocking Erick Gonzalez out. He did land 51 significant strikes to Erick Gonzalez's 7. Peek was landing low kicks and swinging with that left hand hard. He did land a couple. Gonzalez withstood a few of those hard combos, got a body lock takedown, got right back up with no damage, took him down again, right back up, took him down, right back up, and just, ascribing to the Derek Lewis mindset of just stand up, jiu-jitsu is fake, wrestling doesn't exist. And Gonzalez wasn't able to punish him for it, right? It's not that jiu-jitsu doesn't work or that wrestling doesn't work. Obviously, it does. Both of those things aren't true, right? So, or neither of those things are true. If you look at the UFC history, the most championship wins, right? So you can't just count champions because people always say that, like the amount of UFC champions that have primarily used wrestling. That's bullshit because what happens when one champion wins the belt 6 times in a row? What then? Okay, you have to count championship fight wins, and by far the most, with over 150 wins to that style, is wrestling. Wrestling is by far the most effective technique when it comes to sustained championship winning. Doesn't mean that if you are a wrestler, you're going to be a champion. No, but compared to all of the other mixed martial arts or all the other martial arts, and when we shove them all together, the wrestling base is clearly the best. Trevor Peek, I don't know if he has a wrestling base. He refuses to use it, similar to how Justin Gaethje does. But based off of what him saying, like his first mixed martial art was street fighting, that's not great. Usually that does not lead to the most effective UFC career. You can take some people out early on because you're used to fighting and other people are used to martial arts. But once you get into the upper echelon or people with more experience, you kind of can wade their way through those strikes and wear you out and win. But he landed a hard left hand mid combo. Gonzalez wobbled and fell down. Then Peek hit him again and again. It looked like it woke him up. Peek threw some standing hammer fists like this. It's just like he freaking was throwing shots like this, like he's stabbing him in the side of the head with his the side of his palm. And honestly, it worked. There's no criticism here for me that's gonna mean anything because the guy got the win. Good for him. I think he, like I said at the top of this, he's got a ton of talent and a lot of raw ability that, if honed properly and a good team, he could make a splash in the division. We shall see. All right, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Gabriella Fernandes. This fight was long. Fernandes landed some hard leg kicks and a straight right hand. She was landing well and moving. And Jasudavicius ended getting the takedown with 2 minutes left, and she didn't do a ton of damage after that, but she had a ton of control time in this first round. 2 minutes of that control time was actually being on side control or the mount. I don't ever think she got the mount. But based off the amount of damage that she took on the feet and the fact that she didn't do a lot of damage on the ground, I gave that first round to Fernandes as far as damage. I could be, I know. This one was one of those ones where I was watching it, and I think I've watched too many fights. I watched the Bellator event and all this stuff, and I'm kind of Like anytime I see a strike, I'm like, okay, damage. And then when I see a takedown, until I see something, I don't count it for anything. So maybe I'm overly weighing the damage, but I still felt like Fernandes did enough in that first round. But in the second 2 rounds, Jasudavicius landed a decent right hand, got a body lock takedown, eventually got her down. She got her into mounted crucifix and kept her there, landing a ton of damage. I even gave her a 10-8 in that second round, as did all 3 judges. And in this last round, she got the takedown again, even though Fernandes came out swinging hard and trying to like keep herself up. It just did not work, and Jasudavicius like came out there and was able to get the decision win. I gave it to her 29-27. If you gave her 30-26, I totally understand. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a fair assessment. I just might have been overly biased in the other direction. Jordan Leavitt taking on Victor Martinez. I know I'm moving fast with these, but we got a lot more to cover. All right, so Jordan Leavitt getting the win here in the first round. Leavitt was spamming front kicks to the body. Martinez was landing some straight 1-2s, snapping Jordan's head back for a little bit, but Leavitt's variety and just ability kind of just overwhelmed Martinez, and he went up going into the clinch and landing like 3 or 4 knees to the head right in a row and put him right the fuck out. So Jordan Leavitt gets the win there. Good win for him. It's nice to see him come back from that Paddy Pimblett loss and get a victory. Paddy Pimblett, no, I wouldn't give it to him. As far, or sorry, Paddy Pimblett. I'm saying like, he's kind of gotten on my nerves. With the way he reacted to his last win, saying, "Oh, that definitely was a win." I mean, you can't say that. All right, Odie Osbourne versus Charles Johnson. This fight was great. Okay, if you did not watch the prelims, I do recommend going back and watching at least this one and maybe the featured prelim. Possibly the opening fight as well. So Odie landed some low kicks, staying on the outside. Odie caught a kick and forced him down. Johnson talking to him as he's not dodging the leg kicks. Johnson with the body lock slam stays on the back, and when they get up and he's doing damage, Johnson had much more success in the second half of this first round, but I just gave it to Odie because I thought Charles he just didn't do enough in that second half to catch back up, and the striking numbers do bear that out, right? So 23 significant strikes for Odie Osbourne and Charles Johnson with only 21. So if you look at that, look at how the round played out. Yes, Charles Johnson was landing more as the fight went on, and especially like even in that first round. But the thing was, Odie Osbourne had done enough to work his way to a victory or work his way to a win in that first round, in my opinion. Second round here. Oh, also, I noticed that it looked like Johnson has a lot more skills. He has better head movement. He's more fluid on the feet. He's much more unorthodox with his striking ability and uses his reads and his intelligence and his foot position. He's using a lot of skills and talent. It looks more natural to him when he's striking as opposed to Osbourne, who's very traditional, and it works really well when it's working, but then Johnson was able to counter and avoid a lot of the damage, and we can see that as we go on in the fight. A lot of activity to start the second round. They're covering some ground. Johnson ends up kicking the cup really hard, and Odie takes the full 5 minutes. We have a lot of lovely commentary. There was some funny stuff going back and forth. Cruz made fun of the other 2 guys. Like at some point they mentioned being 40 or almost 40 or 43 or whatever, and then Dominic Cruz goes, "Well, most people only live to like their early 80s, so you guys are like halfway done," which is shit that I say. So I think that's funny. Odie was using kicks to land to the body and on the landing front kicks to the knee really well. Johnson now able to land a couple elbows in tight. Johnson ended up throwing his leg over and took the back, but fell off momentarily. So Johnson now pushing him back to the cage and chasing him down, landing a few heavy shots. I felt like Johnson landed better damage in the second round. I have it 19-19, and you can see there it does bear out in the total strikes as well, 16-11 as far as significant strikes go in favor of Johnson. And then here in this last round, it was just tired swinging and grappling, but the grappling advantage went to Odie Osbourne. So I felt like he got this one in the last round, even though Charles Johnson had more significant strikes, and I gave it to Odie, 29-28. But Junichiro Kamijo ended up giving it to Johnson because he felt that he had done enough in here. Kamijo is horrible. He is very inconsistent with his calls. It seems like he has no logic. He just when it's close, he might flip a coin or something. I don't know what he does, but it does not seem like he's consistent with his calls. I think that Odi Osbourne did win this, even though if you look on the significant strikes, he was down 23-14. But if you go back and watch this round, that the control time, who was closer to finishing the fight at any given moment, I still felt like that was Odi Osbourne. All right. Moving on here to Joe Solecki versus, let's see, Joe Solecki versus Carl Deaton. Joe pressuring hard against the fence to start the fight out. Uses a takedown to get the back and becomes backpack standing up. Joe was digging in for the RNC over and over again, but Deaton survived pretty much the entire round. I don't know how he did, but you can see here Deaton attempted 6 significant strikes and landed absolutely none of them. So you could even give this round a 10-8 if you'd like. I did not. I gave it a 10-9, but you could give it a 10-8 in the second round here. Oops, sorry guys. In the second round here, Deaton overextended himself with a hook. He was throwing a hook and he stepped out too far and threw it out way in front of his balance, and Solecki dove in on a clean double leg. Deaton got the back eventually and then gets a rear naked choke with 10 seconds left in the round. Deaton doesn't tap. He actually passed out. So that guy's very tough, and Joe Solecki just showed that, you know, he's clearly the better fighter. That time when they fought, he is clearly the better fighter. Just levels above him when it came to fighting ability. All right, Rafael Alves, sorry, versus Nurullo Aliev, the Tajik Eagle. Yeah, I mean, based off his nickname, you can kind of tell how he fights. Alves with the backflip while his name was being announced, which is kind of risky. Backflip after the fight, like if you injure yourself or you fall down, it's whatever. I mean, the fight's over, who cares? But if something goes wrong when you do that flip beforehand, that's kind of crazy. Aliev caught a kick and got a takedown relatively early. Alves saying, "What the fuck, man?" Aliev bit his finger. Mark Smith saw a mark on the finger, and yes, he was saying that, oh, hey, he was putting his fingers in my mouth, you know, trying to defend, and like he was trying to pull his neck up, and I guess his fingers slipped into his mouth, which that sucks. That really does, but you can't bite his fingers, right? You can't fish hook, right? That's what fish hooking is, and if he's caught doing that, even if it's an accident, he'll get called out on it, but you can't bite the fucking guy's fingers. Like, that's an active decision you made. And he bit his fingers. That's not fucking cool. It's incredibly dirty. Aliev had the control and the damage, and on the feet was pretty much even. Aliev landed no damage on the feet, but on the ground he was able to do a little bit. If you gave that round to Alves, I think you're crazy, because there was so much control time in that first round, 3 minutes and 27 seconds. So obviously that round goes to Aliev, but it's a 9-9 because of the finger bite. Then Aliev went for a takedown. Alves pulls guard, squeezes guillotine, but Aliev pulls out of it after about 90 seconds. He stayed on top for the whole time, ground and pound for the rest of the round, 19-18 for Nurullo. And then the last round, Alves landed a nasty knee, and Aliev was desperate for a takedown. Alves dives in on a guillotine again. He used it to get to mount, but Aliev got the reverse, and he got his Khabib-style win, right? He's gets into that position and gets the win with 3 minutes and 11 seconds of control time. So good win for him. Overall, these prelims, they went by pretty quick. You know, there was a couple decisions, but they were relatively action-filled, and the ones that didn't go too long, so they're fun to watch. So I recommend going back and watching these. If you don't want to watch the entire thing, at least watch the featured prelim and Jordan Leavitt versus Victor Martinez. That was fun. And Odi Osbourne. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's good fights here. It's good fights to be had. Fun things to watch the entire time. So if you watch this video all the way through, thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. I put out 2 or 3 videos every single week. I am actually putting out 4 videos because Bellator is going to be the next one. If you're looking for the main card and the main event, that's in the last video. Thank you guys for being here. It means a lot to me. I hope I have an amazing week, and I love y'all.